Hello, welcome to another crafty video. Today's one is going to be a construction. This should have gone up in birthday week, however I kind of ran out of time and you already had quite a few videos that week, so hopefully you didn't mind there not being one for the pumpkin, witch hat and cauldron die set. There were three of my like moving photo, as I like to call them, shorts, showing the three different three-dimensional projects that I made. But when I was cutting all of those pieces out, I had already cut all of these bits ready to make myself a gorgeous sea salt green pumpkin as well, just like an ornamental kind of pumpkin rather than a jack-o'-lantern. And I also cut out the decorative panels, put a solid one of one of their luxury cardstocks. I can't remember what this one's called, but it's like a beautiful subtle pearlescent light greeny sort of tone with flowers all over it. It's really, really pretty. And then I've put the die cut detail over the top of that as well. And I thought, well, I'm going to put this together anyway, so I might as well do it as a mini little construction video for you. It's very, very simple to put together. Tonic have done these kind of dies in the past where the inside is angled like this, and then you can put a solid straight piece over the top and it gives it a beautiful curved effect then. You don't have to put those on, you can definitely just leave it like this. The cauldron version is just left like this, and you could definitely leave the pumpkin version like this as well, but it just makes it a little bit more decorative and round like a real pumpkin as well, which is really nice. They've done, I think it was the kit that had the egg in, and I feel like there was a lantern that was a similar kind of concept as well, but I'm sure there's been different die sets from Tonic using this kind of method with the angular piece and then the curved piece to go over the top. So to create the pumpkin, this is the actual die set. I'm not sure if it's still available. I presume it was quite popular because it has three different boxes within it, but if I can find it still, if it's still on the website, I will link it down below so you can go and get hold of it if you want to, or if it is out of stock, Tonic have been bringing back old sort of like showcase special die sets to go on Create and Craft months later, so you might even be lucky enough to get it later on if they do bring it back. I'm not sure if they will, but they might do. But there's all sorts of elements in here. You can give the pumpkin all sorts of different faces, like wiggly mouths, teeth, jaggedy teeth. You've got the different eyes here as well. You've also got a small piece over here that gives you like different noses and stuff too, so you can play around with however you want to create the face on your pumpkin or jack-o'-lantern, or you can leave it without. You've got these round circular pieces here go for the brim of the hat, and you've got like this tall piece here for the hat. In my short video I'd done a navy blue hat with gold accents, and I was kind of going for like a Fantasia sort of wizard hat. And then you have like this piece here is for part of the cauldron. This is for the bottom of the hat actually as well. This is for the stalk of the pumpkin or the jack-o'-lantern. You've also got different decorative elements like a little buckle and a sort of like a belt piece to go around the hat. You've got this sort of handle for the cauldron, or you also have this kind of handle for the cauldron as well, or this kind of handle too. You can put them on the tops or the sides and change it around a little bit. You've got the feet for the cauldron as well, and then you've got beautiful leaves. You've got two different leaves, and these veins deboss really nicely. If you ever struggle with getting a debossed design to come out really nicely, you can put a second piece of cardstock underneath, and when you run it through your machine it'll really press into it. And with these ones here, I recommend actually cutting your panel first and then putting these back in and running them through, because I suppose because it's cutting, the cutting line is higher up than this debossing sort of detail, and I just find you get a better debossed impression if you've already cut the shape first and you take this die away and put those two on to get the debossing texture onto there as well. And you've also got like a little spider's web, gorgeous little bits of foliage. I love these. These are like the tendrils of the pumpkin. I really love those. I haven't actually cut any to go on this because I'm keeping it more simple and minimalistic, but they look fantastic with the leaves on top of the pumpkin. If you stick a few of them on before you stick the stalk on the top, it looks really, really good. So you've got all of those bits and pieces in there to create the three different boxes, but for this video we're just going to go with the pumpkin. So for the base of the pumpkin, you need one of the hexagons, which has all of its glue tabs already on it. So the glue tabs aren't on the bottom or the top of the actual sides of the box, they're all on the base of the box. So you've got that, you need one of those, and then you need 6 of these pieces. I've already pre-scored them just to save a little bit of time, but you need 6 of those to go around the 6 sides of the hexagon, and that creates the main base. And then if you want to give them that curved side, you're going to also need 6 of these. So you've got 6 of your beautiful patterned panels to go on there as well. And then for the lid of the pumpkin, you need another one of the base plus 6 of the side pieces, and then these will glue all the way around the edge to give you the lid of the pumpkin. I think you do also get a smaller hexagon, so you could cut a smaller hexagon to decorate the top, but that was the last of this paper that I had, the luxury embossed paper, so I probably would have cut another hexagon to go on top of here, but I didn't have enough cardstock left. And then for the stalk of the pumpkin, you need 2 of these pieces and then 2 of these pieces. I've gone for gold. I would say silver is my chosen metallic, but I already have some pumpkins, like ornaments, that I bought from B&M, and I got a couple from Primark as well, and they all have a bright gold stalk on them, so I thought, well, I might as well make this one match in with the ones that I've already got, and then it can sort of hide within them, but can be a secret sort of storage box as well. So that's why I've gone with gold for the stalk of this one. So I'm going to use glue to put this together, because there are quite a lot of different little tabs on here, and I feel like you end up getting so fed up with pulling off the red backing tape of all of the little glue tabs that sometimes it is just easier to go with glue. And because these are at like angles, it's actually not too difficult to sort of pinch them until the glue has set. So you'll see that as we put it all together. But the first thing we're going to do is go for the lid, I think. And what I'm going to do is just put the glue onto 3 of the glue tabs to begin with around the top of this. And why, whenever I film a video, does my glue always decide to clog a lot? It's always the way. And then all you want to do is just line these up so that you're building the lid of the box. And we're just going to go around and stick all 6 of these around the edges of the box first, and then we'll deal with bringing the glue tabs in and making it into a 3-dimensional lid piece. So we put that one on. I'm pressing really firmly to make sure it's a nice strong bond between the cardstock and the glue, and then we can do the other 3. This is, oh, I can't get the pin back in. This is also quite a good way if you are like batch making a few of these, if you want to make them for gifts to give out at a Halloween party, or if you want to make a lot of decorations, or you know, any kind of event where you might be making lots of the same sort of box. It's quite nice to work in like an assembly line style. And if you're using glue, it gives all of the glue enough time to dry between doing the different stages as well, which is good. So stick the last one on, and then while that is drying, we can do the same thing to the main portion of the pumpkin box. And Pumpkin has just dropped her tennis ball by my feet, probably because I keep saying the word pumpkin and she thinks I'm talking to her. So the only thing you want to mind when you're doing this one is this one. There's only one way up these could be stuck, because this is the frilly edge of the lid. But with these ones, they are the same on both ends. So you want to make sure all of your glue tabs are all on the same side as we're sticking these on. So we're going to do the same thing again and put the glue on 3 of the tabs. And put the pin back in so it doesn't clog up, and then go 1, and we're leaving the glue tabs on that side. It doesn't matter which side you put them on, but just make sure they're all on the same side as you go round sticking these on. Pumpkin. She's put her tennis ball in a box behind me. It's one of her favourite things to do, is put her tennis ball inside a box. Okay, that's the first 3, and then the next 3. So it's a pretty simple box to put together, and I don't think it really takes that long. I feel like out of the three of them, well, I suppose the hat was very quick to put together. Out of this one and the cauldron, I feel like this one was simpler to put together. Even though you've got those extra panels to put over the edges, it's literally just some red liner tape to stick those on, and I stick them to the top and the bottom pieces there. So it's very, very simple to put those on as well. Actually, all of the boxes are simple, but I would say hat was the quickest, this was the middle sort of time-wise, and then the cauldron was a little bit more time, just because of the lip to kind of make the protruding bit so that the lid would then snuggle sort of into the edge of the cauldron as well, because this one's lid is going to sit over the top, whereas the cauldron actually has like side pieces that come outwards, and then you use these pieces to create a lid that sort of sits into it. So it's a different kind of box, which is nice, that even though you're using some of the same pieces, you're creating a completely different looking sort of box, which is really nice. So now that is drying, we can come back to the lid. Sorry for switching between them, but because we're using glue, it's kind of easier to switch between. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure all of those glue tabs are on the top. I know they need to be on the bottom, but because we're using wet glue, it just makes it a little bit easier to have them on the top. It makes it easier to be able to put the glue onto them without sort of having to hold it in midair. So I'm going to do 2 at a time for this, and we're just going to then pull that glue tab back behind and then stick that down so that the cut line and the score line are lining up nicely. Make sure that this score line is lining up all the way around, and then you'll find that those will meet perfectly to create the point of the lid of the box. Okay, and then repeat this for the next one as well. And then we'll just repeat this for the remaining 4 too, doing 2 at a time. Just makes it a little bit easier. You're not rushing with lots of waiting for, or you know, rushing that the glue might dry. Sorry, I'm distracted because the postman just pulled up outside. Okay, so we can now go for the next few, and Pumpkin has heard the postman. Oh dear, sorry about Pumpkin. So we can do the next one, and then so we've done 4 of them now. We can see that shape sort of coming together, and then we can do these 2. You can see it's a pretty decent sized box, this pumpkin. I mean, I've already made one of these before, and I already sort of forgot the size that this actually creates. It's a pretty decent sized box, which is really lovely. So we can stick these down, and then final ones, just tucking them under and then pressing them into place. And you can see it's quite an easy one to do with glue, because you can really get to the other side and press it. Sometimes it's much easier to use tape because you're not able to get to the other side as easily to be able to hold it whilst the glue is kind of drying, and it's much easier to sort of have tape on it in that case. But you can see how gorgeous and large that lid of that box is. So the lid is currently measuring 4 3/4 inches on the straight side to the straight side, and then on the points it's about 5.5 inches to the points. Now obviously the box isn't those dimensions square, it's got obviously all the corners cut off because it's more of a circular kind of box, but it's a pretty decent sized one. You can definitely fit a chocolate orange inside it. I know chocolate oranges, I suppose they're more Christmassy, but I mean, they probably still sell them in the shops around autumn kind of time. You could give them in a gorgeous pumpkin box. But I'm thinking also like a short sort of round candle would fit quite nicely in this box as well. So it's a decent sized box to give a gift in, which is really nice, or just have as decor like I'm going to do for mine. So that is the lid of our pumpkin box, and now we've got to put together the base of the box. So I will speed some of this up because this is probably going to be a bit boring, but I'm going to do 2 sides with you, I think, and then speed the rest of it up because it's just repeating, and also Pumpkin is barking still. What are you barking at now? The postie's gone. There was a van reversing down the road. You can tell why I haven't been filming many talking videos recently, because we get so many interruptions down the road, and Pumpkin loves to bark at them. She's been barking at a squirrel most of the morning. So we're going to just do exactly the same thing and put our glue onto all of the glue tabs on one of these. I think I'll do them one at a time, actually, you know, one side at a time, just to sort of, so I can talk and not worry about the glue drying. So you want to tuck that one back under again, and then you're basically just pinching it round so that, again, that the cut line lines up with the scored folded line there, and you're pressing from the inside to kind of hold it into place. The first one is usually the hardest one to do because it just wants to pop back open to being flat how it was. So you could just work your way up, making sure that your horizontal scores are in the same place. I mean, we're not going to see this, so if you are slightly off, it's probably not going to matter that much. If you're doing the cauldron, you want to be more accurate because you are going to be seeing this. It's sort of like a feature of the cauldron, although you could put the curved pieces on the cauldron as well. Actually, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. You don't have to leave the cauldron as the jagged sort of edges. You can definitely put the domed sort of pieces onto there as well. So there's the first one. If you want to make sure that nothing is going to sort of pop apart as you're working, then you can use like these little mini clothes pegs and just peg the top of it, just to make sure that that's going to stay nicely in place as you're working. And then move on to the next one. And tuck that one behind again, and then get that one into position. And then just line it up as you go. Just making sure that the cut line of the previous one is lining up with the fold line of the next one, and then that all of your horizontals are lined up with each other as well. And then just pressing from the inside as you're going, just to make sure those are firmly stuck into place. So I'll speed this bit up with the last 4 of these, and then I'll come back. You will have just seen Pumpkin in that sped up portion. I've decided to leave the last one to show you, just in case you struggle with getting the last one together. I thought it might be good to show you. But yeah, you probably just saw Pumpkin. I held her up because she was behind me playing with her tennis ball. She's still behind me. She just put it back in the box again now. I just heard her drop it in there. If she barks, that's what she's done. She puts it in a box and then she can't get it back out again, so she barks at me. So for the last one of these, how I like to do it is fold these glue tabs sort of like back in on themselves and then put the glue on them, because then they're not kind of in the way, interfering with the rest of the box. If you folded them back in on themselves, they're not going to get glue everywhere, or they're not going to stick somewhere before you want them to stick. She loves the squeaky tennis balls, if you didn't realise from the squeak just then. And she's going to continue to squeak for us. Okay, so the same thing again, but you're just sort of, the way they're folded in like that, you can just press from the inside to get them to fold together, and I just find it much easier doing it that way. You end up in less of a mess with your glue than if you left them sticking straight out. Okay. Oh, pulled that apart. Okay, and the last two. Okay, so now we've got our main pumpkin made as well. We haven't got too much more to do, which is good, because I think Pumpkin wants to play, the real Pumpkin, because she keeps dropping her tennis ball at my feet. So now we need to do the stalk of the pumpkin. And the way I've done this is I've cut them both pieces from the gold mirror card, and then I've put the tape on the glue tabs of them to be able to stick them together. Pumpkin! And then on the bottom of the top and bottom pieces that go onto this, just to make it into a stalk, I've just covered the back of them with Redline tape so that you don't have to pull the adhesive off all of these tiny pieces. And also I'm using tape rather than glue because I always get glue everywhere on the front of mirror card, and I want this to look nice and shiny and pristine and not have little glue smears all over it. So that's why I've gone with tape. So, to do this, you want to take the backing off of one of those and then line them up. And then we've got Pumpkin's music going on in the background. We can pull this round and stick this one together. Would you believe that normally in the morning she is on the kitchen windowsill, quite silent, but as soon as you try to film, she's in with you, squeaking her tennis ball under your desk. Okay, so now we've got that in our sort of ring formation. We've got this beautiful little piece, actually. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if I've got one here. I've got, no, I've only got these ones, but it kind of reminds me of a Nouveau Drop lid, actually, the shape that this gives you. This wider piece is the top, so I want to make sure the top looks better, or like looks perfect. So I'm going to leave the bottom one off, but pull these glue tabs back so that I can put the top one on and press from the inside to make sure the glue tabs are securely stuck onto the hexagon. So I'm going to pull the red liner tape off of the back of this, and then I'm going to secure... She just sat on the windowsill in front of me and then rolled her tennis ball onto the floor. You're gonna have to go get that. Yes. She's so funny. So if you put it on one first and then try and push it across diagonally, we can bend the other tab sort of inwards, push it across, or I suppose it's not diagonally, is it? It's just straight across, to stick onto the opposite glue tab, and then you can kind of push these ones to make sure that they're going in the right positions. They do overlap quite a little bit, so you're going to have to kind of fiddle with them, and one of them's going to want to stick down first and then the other one to get it to be the perfect hexagonal shape. I don't know if I explained that very well at all, but you've then got the perfect little hexagonal top piece for your pumpkin. And I'm just going to go from the inside and press with the end of my glide folder just to make sure all of those glue tabs are well stuck onto that top hexagon. Pumpkin. Okay, and then for the bottom one, I'm going to still, it's there, Pumpkin. I'm going to stick this over the top there, but I mean technically you don't really need to put the bottom one on, because you could just use those glue tabs to stick it to the top of the box. But if you put the bottom one on, you can then use hot glue quite nicely to stick that on, just to make sure it's not going to come off. So I'm not sure. I think I do want to put it on, but because I don't want to see any of those white lines, you know, with mirror card, they often have like the white showing on the edge there. Because I don't want to see that when it's stuck onto there, I'm actually just gonna trim the tiniest little bit off of all of the sides, just to make sure the hexagon is more underneath the handle rather than it showing sort of out of the edges. And then I'm just going to remove the red liner tape backing. I feel like this video has been a bit all over the place. We've got a lot of musical interludes from Pumpkin. Just because I'm making a pumpkin box, she thinks, you're part of the video now, are you? Yes. It's so funny. Okay, so we're just sort of, and it's not going to line up perfectly because I cut it smaller, but we're just sort of making that stick onto there to hold all of those bottom glue tabs together. And then when you stick this onto the box, you can use hot glue, but you can either stick it so that all of the points are going to the points of your hexagon lid, or you can twist it and do it offset. You can kind of pick however you want to do that. I'll probably do this, stick this on later when I've got my hot glue gun on for something else, or you could just use you know, your wet glue as well, but I feel like it's going to give a much firmer bond. The lid's not very heavy, but I think it will give a much firmer bond if you use some hot glue on there. And if you want to add the leaves on there, for the jack-o'-lantern one that I made, I put some of the tendrils coming out, then I put the leaves on there with hot glue, and then I put this on top with hot glue as well, just to make sure it was really nicely stuck onto there. So that's basically everything for the lid of this box. And then we can do the sort of wrap pieces on the side of the box. You can see the decent size of this box when we put the lid on there as well. It's a really gorgeous sized box, and as I said before, it's about 5.5 point to point, 4 3/4 at its widest point pretty much, from straight side to straight side. So it's a really decent sized box, really nice interior sort of cavity for putting tons of sweets into. You could probably get a whole box of celebrations into there, you know, like a standard size box, or you could buy the big boxes of heroes and celebrations and stuff and split them up into a few of them. But yeah, really, really lovely sized box. So for these side panels, I'll zoom you out a little bit again. You've got the decorative pieces here. I think she's gone to sleep now, Pumpkin. She looks like she's asleep. I'm just gonna, I've already stuck the decorative detail onto the luxury cardstock, and then I'm just gonna go like this to kind of give them a little bit of a curve. And then on the back of all of them, I've already used some wide red liner tape on both ends, because this just makes it so simple to stick onto there. You haven't got to wait for glue to dry and risk like one piece popping up. You can just use the red liner tape, pinch it at both ends, and get it to stick on there really nicely. But you can definitely just leave it as it is too, or you could turn it into something else. It kind of looks like a beehive, like this to me, so you could turn it into something like that as well. But I think it's going to look really gorgeous with these side panels on. So I'm just going to sort of mould all of them, and I did make sure to try and dab a tiny bit of glue on each of those leaves that would stick up, just so that when I go like this, they're not all popping up, they're sort of staying against that beautiful luxury cardstock on there as well. So I can just roll these so they've got a bit of curve to them. It just makes it a tiny bit easier when you're adding them to the box. And then also, actually, these decorative panels have a certain way up. You know, like they've got a specific direction to their pattern, but I want to make them, do I want to make them go opposites, or do I want to make them all the same all the way around? What do we think is going to look better? Because then when they go like this, you'll get two spirals together. No, I think I'm going to make them go the same direction all the way around. So I'm going to put them all in a pile the same direction, and then I'm going to start with the first one. So just remove that red liner tape off of the back, and then I was finding sticking, actually I was sticking the bottom one on first, because the top one's going to get hidden by the lid. I thought if I stick the bottom one on first, then I can make sure that they're all going to look. Have you woken up again? Pumpkin, I've nearly finished. I'm just going to press on the bottom first and then pull it up to the top, and you can really press the top nicely because you've got the opening there, but for the bottom one you can press from the outside and push from the inside to get it to be a really good bond. And then we just want to repeat this all the way around our box whilst being whined at by a pumpkin. I'll play with you in a minute, I've nearly finished, okay? Okay, so we're gonna put that on the bottom and then put it round to the top. So really, really simple to stick these gorgeous panels on, but I really do think that they make a lot of difference. And I do think that it would look really lovely doing this to the cauldron box as well. Okay, so I've finished putting all of those panels on. I sped up the last bit because Pumpkin was whining at me. She needed the toilet. So she's done that now. She's still staring at me. I will play with you when I finished, okay, little one? I think it is because I keep saying the word pumpkin because we're making a pumpkin and she keeps looking at me thinking I'm talking to her. Anyway, so that is the main box. When this is all put together, it's really nice and sturdy with those panels on it. It's made a really substantial kind of box there. So really, really gorgeous. I love how that looks with the patterns. Can't wait to put this on the sideboard. So we've now got the main box. We've got our lid there as well. And before I went to the garden with Pumpkin, I put my glue gun on to warm up so we can put the stalk on the top of the pumpkin. I think I'm just going to keep it really simple like this. I wish I had a bit more of that cardstock to add another pattern to it, whether it's a hexagon on the top or some of the leaves or something. I might add to it at some point later down the line, but I've got to decide, do I want the stalk to line up with the hexagon or do I want it to be offset? I think line up. Okay, so when this has heated up enough, I think it's almost there, we can just put a nice big blob of hot glue under there and then press that into the centre of our lid. And then once that has cooled down, that's not going to be going anywhere, that lid. So oh, probably should press it down a little bit more than that because you can see the hot glue. I might have put a tiny bit too much glue. I probably will embellish the edge of this with something else then, seeing as I've made the glue squidge out of this a little bit too much. But I think like maybe some little flowers or beads or something would look really nice just around the edge of that. Or again, if I do find another scrap of this cardstock, I could die cut some of the leaves from that. So that is our gorgeous little pumpkin box. So sorry for the state of this construction video with a lot of pumpkin interruptions. She's still looking at me on the windowsill. But yeah, hope it was helpful to anybody who's got this die set, or if it is still in stock, if you do want to get hold of it, then there will be an affiliate link in the description box below the video as well. So thank you so much for watching and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!